Good evening. I'm going to call the October 20th, 2023 regular meeting of the Town Board to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Present.
Councilmember Delarada.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Councilmember Brennan.
Here.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to take a brief moment of silence to acknowledge the recent tragedies that are happening across the world, and specifically in Israel and Ukraine. Thank you. We wish to respectfully acknowledge that Niskayuna is on the traditional lands of the Kanikihaka and the Mahikanac peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the peoples who have stewarded this land throughout generations. All right, let's start with the approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the September 26th regular town board meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the September 26, 2023 regular meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are approved. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the October 10th, 2023 special meeting of the town board?
Motion to approve the minutes from the October 10th, 2023 special meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Those minutes are, meeting minutes are approved. And now we will call for the public hearing. Will the clerk please call the public hearing?
A public hearing regarding the 2024 preliminary budget for the town of Niskayuna.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open.
Good evening, members of the town board and Madam Supervisor. My name is Bill Chapman. I'm at 1465 Clifton Park Road in the town of Niskayuna and also one of the co-chairs of the Town Complete Streets Committee. I do want to point out a couple of things. I think that the board making improvements to the traffic division in the town will be a good thing. Having a separate unit, adding some additional police officers. A lot of residents complain about speeding. Be able to do a better job of addressing that. Also on Complete Streets, I spoke to the police chief at the beginning of the meeting about an enforcement day for crosswalks in the town, that when you walk near the crosswalk or even the new push button crosswalk at St. David's, excuse me, at St. Joseph's and River Road, a lot of motorists still go through those. So it would be to stop some of those folks, and just education that it's state law that you've got to stop for someone in the crosswalk. And also I think having additional staff, if there are intersections that need to be looked at, that's something that could be done as well. Secondly, I do want to say that I appreciate that the board has set aside money for the match, the town match. If the town gets the Quality Communities Grant for sidewalk on Cornelius and Birchwood Lane, important to safety for the schools, that money is in the budget. Third, the board mentions going ahead with ADA compliance. I think having the curb cuts at the end of sidewalks adjusted so people in wheelchairs or baby carriages or older adults can get to the sidewalks. And I know we've all shopped in the Co-op Plaza block, but for many years there were 2 or 3 steps right there that were really an impairment to anybody in a wheelchair, anybody with a baby carriage, a grocery cart, older adults getting up and down those. And so it's really helpful to older adults to have those out of the way. And so it's good that we're moving forward on that. I also last year mentioned that the Complete Streets Committee thought it was wise for the town board to go ahead and purchase a new snow removal machine so that the town's able to get snow off the sidewalks so pedestrians can begin using them right away. Also, I'm glad that the town board is meeting with state DOT officials to be advocates for the people of the town, to say we've had some serious accidents on Route 7. We want the state DOT to investigate that, to look at some structural things that could be done, some enforcement things that could be done, but to let them know that it's a serious issue and they need to look at that. Finally, as a taxpayer, I appreciate that the town board only had a 0% tax increase last year. You only have a 0.5% increase this year. To me, that says that you're doing a good job of efficiently managing the town's money. And I know that the town controller has been working with the board and with the supervisor on many things to minimize interest costs that go into the budget, that the board's working on capitalizing on the improvements to the wastewater treatment plant so you can get more commercial product there to help minimize taxes. And also, I think that taking some steps to make more fairness in the budget by looking at water flow in and out of houses and building that into the price for sewer charge fees, that it makes it fair. But if I'm a single adult living in a house, I'm going to pay a rate that's closer to the amount of water that I'm using. And if I live next door to a lovely couple that have 4 kids and they use more water, it helps to conserve water as a valuable resource. So there are many solid things that you're doing in the budget. And so I think the town board's doing a good job.
Thank you.
Good evening. I didn't sign up. It's Ihasui Gomes, 26 Bergen Place. So I just wrote some of my thoughts down. I did review the budget. So first, good evening to Supervisor Puccioni and the board. I just want to speak about the preliminary budget. And first, I just want to touch on the use of the fund balance. As a parent of a household of 6, I would like to commend the prudent and fiscally responsible decision to use the decision to use the fund balance to propose community improvements, personnel, equipment needed. I think it is economically responsible, especially in this current climate. I think the only way that we would acquire funds of using a short-term lease, it would be with high interest rates. And essentially, we're throwing families' money away when we have that fund balance to be used for the purpose of improving the community. Also, transferring fund balances to support revenues is not something that I think even requires a second thought or a defense. I think it shows awareness and intentionality in supporting our community. By keeping our residential tax rates increased less than 1%, the town essentially contributes to families' qualities of life, because it ensures that during the uncertain economic times that families can keep a little bit more money in their pockets. To some, this may be minimal, but to others, this can be the difference between making tough decisions and sacrifices. So in addition to supporting our families, it will also allow the town to continue to pay down debts, to develop new positions that would allow the local government to support our community and their ever-changing needs. And to me, it's a realistic approach. Rather than expecting us to get more from with the same infrastructure, I think it builds capacity. Because I think if we could have done anything more than with what we have, I would kind of ask that question, why haven't we? So if we expect more from our board and from our town, we have to build capacity. And I think the budget proposes just that. In regards to and in full disclosure, I sit on the DEI advisory committee. And in just speaking to that, I would say that I'm proud of the work that the board and the supervisor has done. And I'm proud to have been a part of the committee that can advise some of the initiatives that the supervisor put forward. I think that Supervisor Puccioni illustrates that Niskayuna's commitment to a community of belonging. I think the local government, it also shows that the local government is accessible and willing to hear from their constituents. And I just want to take a few moments to just acknowledge some of the achievements that's come out through the town board under Supervisor Puccioni. I think the recent rollout of the community survey to families participating in rec sports shows that youth programming is a priority. I think the supervisor welcomes the input of the community, and I think that survey shows that. It's also showing that they're willing to hear the voice of the community, informing future programming and supporting their needs. The supervisor also proposed training for coaches and volunteers so that all families with different needs and abilities feel welcome and that know that youth programming is inclusive. And finally, the renovation of River Road Park as an accessible park is something, again, that should be touted, as it shows that Niskayuna has a dedication not just to a fraction of the community, but to the community as a whole. So again, I just want to reiterate that I believe that Supervisor Puccioni, the board, I think so far you all have been good stewards of our money, and I believe that you will continue to do that, and I'm in full support of the budget. Thank you.
Leslie Gold, 1919 Pawtucket Avenue. I'm generally very pleased with the budget. I note on page 34 the figures one needs to predict one's utility bill are there. I don't see the same for the yard waste fees and for the recycling and transfer station fees. I hope they are added before the budget is voted upon. I am disappointed in a couple things. One, we don't have a deputy town attorney or other staff to assist our attorney on a regular basis. And that position is just so important. And she may be pretty much close to superwoman, but still there needs to be backup. So I'd like to see that addressed sometime soon. Somebody who's available when on a contract basis isn't the same as having an employee who's bound to show up. And I spoke last year that I thought it was high time to start raising the supervisor's salary, and I stand with that. It is not a little part-time job anymore. It hasn't been in years. When a number of us persuaded Luke Smith to run for supervisor, he was the one who pointed that out to us. He had worked for the state and had wound up working for Westchester County in an administrative position. He knew what the job was pretty much going to require and strongly advised us to work to try and get that salary up and to note that the position really is basically full-time. And I don't think the current salary matches that. There are other supervisors in similar towns. It wouldn't be a big deal to do a study. And I know that because that's my background with the state for like 32 years. And I really think it's time to work on getting that salary up.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ashok Ramasubramanian. I am residing at 2023 Arcona Court in Old Niskayuna. I am a member of the Conservation Advisory Council, and I am also a member of the 2023 Comprehensive Planning Committee. And I am here to speak in support of the proposed budget. The budget mentions that we have gotten some grants. The Conservation Advisory Council was involved in one of them for getting DEC funding for phase 2 of our natural resources inventory. And we are extremely grateful for the town's matching funds so that we can go ahead with that grant. The budget also separately includes funding for climate smarts initiatives, which in this day and age is a good thing to do for our town. And the climate smart stuff is also undertaken by the CAC, and we are all very grateful for that. Separately, Supervisor Puccioni and the town board has all been very supportive of our efforts to conserve open space in Niskayuna and to have improvements in our parks. We certainly appreciate all of that. And as a homeowner, I certainly appreciate the very small 0.5% tax increase. I believe it says something like 2 cents for every $1,000 of home value, right? That's basically change you find under the couch on regular basis. And lastly, I'm grateful for the increased police presence and the budget allocations for that. And thank you for your time.
The public hearing is still open.
I didn't sign up, but Joseph Drescher, I live over on Pierce Road, and I wanted to speak in favor of the budget. I'll keep it simple, limited to 3 things that I really stood out to me that were important. One being avoiding debt, as someone who tries to avoid debt the best they can, lived at home for a few years to pay off as much of my student loans as possible so I wouldn't have debt. I appreciate that this budget accounts for paying capital purchases within the budget rather than taking out bonding and other sorts of debt to just kick the can down the road, especially with interest rates where they currently are. Number 2, as a volunteer first responder, I'm a big advocate of training, and I noticed that there is an increase in police training. Again, you're only as good in emergency situations as your training, so increased training is only going to help the community be safer and also keep our police safe too if they have the proper training. And the third thing is the comprehensive plan, having a consultant budgeted for helping our comprehensive plan. This past Friday, I was at a seminar for planning and zoning, and one of the things that they talked about in every single course was the importance of a comprehensive plan. Not only does it give us a unified and continuous vision for the town, but it also allows us to potentially get additional grants and funding based on what that vision is and how it fits with certain funding sources. So I do appreciate that help there. And as a member of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, I know we can use that to make sure we have a better comprehensive plan. We've compared it with other towns, and ours could use some more modernization compared to some of the other local towns. So those are my big 3. I appreciated all the successes that were done under the 2023 budget. I see it all the time. I'm a huge advocate and fan of Avon Crest Park and the tennis courts, which are now also being used for pickleball, which I guess is a big thing now, have improved. And I appreciate that because they were really rough for a few years there. So given all the accomplishments on the 2023 budget, I'm excited to see what can be accomplished on the 2024 budget. So I approve of it. I'm happy with it. So thank you.
Good evening. My name's Haney Santana at 815 Trottingham Drive in Niskayuna. I'd like to thank all the Democratic committee members here that are in support of your budget. I'm not. I don't think you are keeping the real residents that are hurting, like seniors, just like myself, that are on fixed incomes. I do not think that you are doing anything that is meaningful and worthwhile. I mean, how many pickle courts do we need? We need tax relief. We need tax relief. We need tax relief. And for the supervisor's position, Yasmin Syed, she left her job at Albany Med and took this job full time based on the salary that it was. And I don't see you needing to have a salary since you also work for Albany. How much money do you really need to live on taxpayers? People are hurting. People can't buy food to feed their grandkids and their children. And you seem to think that Niskayuna is full of millionaires. You have failed to look at the everyday person that is struggling. That's all I really have to say to you. I don't need 3 minutes to do it. I don't like your budget. I disagree with your budget. And I can't wait so I can vote against all of you. Thank you.
Joey Fazy, 2390 Parkville Place. The budget is a joke. I think if you're going to be in this position, should be a selfless position. I think that if you put yourself in this position, it should be about the people, not about yourself. And I think that you should straighten out your household financially before you go ahead and straighten out the town's budget. I don't think you guys know what you're doing. I think there should be some level of experience on what you guys should be doing. So I don't think, and from what I'm seeing here today, I think it's just a bunch of friends and family supporting you, the Democratic Party. So on that, I don't approve this budget. Thank you.
Rizzo, 2229 Fairlawn Parkway. I'm here tonight to address the budget, and as you can surmise, I'm not in favor of it. I'd like to begin by quoting the Comptroller's Office, the New York State Comptroller's Office, regarding fund balance. He addresses excessively low fund balances and says that the cause is normally due to poor budget practices, desire to reduce taxes or keep them at the same level for political reasons. This results in short-term funding, deficit finance, etc. Now he talks about excessively high fund balances, which applies to Niskayuna. This is normally also caused by poor budget practices, not by good budget practices. It's also due to unduly high property taxes, and that's done for political reasons. So actually, and it also gives a greater opportunity for fraud if controls are weak. Now, the fund balance is not a personal savings account of board members. The fund balance is the reason you have it is because residents have been overtaxed, higher assessments, overassessed homes, etc. Now, the Comptroller's Office recommends that when you have an excessive fund balance, that should be returned to the taxpayers because it is the taxpayers' money, not your money. And it should not be used for pet projects for political reasons. Now, I know $1 million of the fund balance has been spent on various projects. One was, I think, $720,000 for 4 employees to get paid to get on the proper step for their retirement, even though 2 court decisions never cited the town for wrongdoing. Others went into the park, I think $300,000. You were waiting for a grant that you used that $300,000 that STEC was supposed to give while waiting for it. I think something was used for a pickleball court and a tennis court. So actually, the Comptroller's Office states what should be done with that fund balance. We got no return on it. Secondly, you have consistently raised fees. The water and sewer fees doubled. I know several people who got their bill. They're now paying double. Mine went up. You also have brush pickup, the transfer station. I remember people came here complaining that you were raising the fees on the transfer station. And then you also have fees for the alarm system, home security alarm systems, that you have nothing to do with. I pay, and other residents pay, about $500 a year to have their houses monitored. The police do not monitor our alarm system. And if there is a burglar alarm going off and they have to come, we're paying them for that. They're getting well paid. So why we are paying a fee, and several residents have asked this question, for something that you have nothing to do with, is a mystery. Now, if I charged a fee for something that I did not render in services, I'd be stealing and I'd get arrested. If I charged you overpriced stuff for you, if I overcharged you in taxes on something, if I was a private citizen or a corporation, a private corporation, that would be called fraud, and I'd get arrested. Only in public government can you do this with the fund balance. My second comment, or third, is Schenectady County, which is far larger than this town of Niskayuna, had no tax increase. Flat. The county was able to do that without using their fund balance. Now, I've been in this town when Luke Smith was the supervisor, his last term, Joe Landry, Yasmin Syed. Luke Smith and Joe Landry never balanced the budget using the fund balance for all the various reasons I said, and because they did not want to go against the New York State Comptroller's regulations or suggestions. Yasmin Syed had to use the fund balance for $1 million because, unfortunately, she got caught in the COVID epidemic. She really did not have a lot of choice. And also, let's be fair, she got no support from her Democratic board. It was an uphill battle for that woman. The first minority woman to be elected as supervisor was not treated very nicely, but that's besides the point. Now, suddenly, we're using the fund balance. We've used it last year. We're using it this year. We raise fees. And when your expenditures, outpace your revenues, what do most people do? They cut cost. I have to cut cost. People on my block are cutting cost because we can't have our expenditures outweigh our revenues. We can't live on a credit card. But what does town government do? You don't cut cost. If you truly have to raise taxes, even 1 lousy percent or a 0.5%, you should not be hiring. If you've got to raise fees for your town to survive, you should not be hiring anybody. You should have a freeze on hiring. But no, that's not the case. So I hope the voters on November, I don't know why you're looking at Jason Moskowitz. I'm talking to you, Supervisor Puccioni. You keep staring at him. Maybe you like the color of his suit. I don't know. But I'm telling you.
It's a very nice tie he's wearing tonight, I must say.
You know what, John, I agree with you. And I do remember, John, one year you voted no on the budget. I think when
Ms.
Syed
Rizzo,
was.
please wrap up your comments. You've exceeded your limit
You know
farther
what?
than everyone else.
Oh, no, I will. But you had Democratic committee people go over 3 minutes.
Everyone's gone over 3 minutes.
Oh, that's fine. So I'll go over a little bit more. John, you voted against Supervisor Syed's budget because she used the fund balance. And you did it stating exactly the reasons I'm stating tonight. And when you did that, I agreed with you. So I hope that this time.
There's a bit of a difference that I'll address
Well,
later.
I know she was a Republican. But my point being here is that I hope this time during election, people don't vote labels. They vote their pocketbook. They vote for change. And you know what? If you don't get the change you want, 2 years rolls around, you can vote people out. I don't have a vested interest in the party. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope you do like Mr. Moskowitz's suit.
Thank you.
Madam Supervisor, council people, I want to say something here about the.
Can you state your name for the record?
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Vincent Daly, 2231 Webster Drive, Niskayuna. I've been there, I think, 59 years, 58 years. I want to thank our supervisor. I had an incident just last Sunday at 2 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I have an alarm system. And the alarm went off. We were sleeping and got up out of a dead sound sleep. And thank God we had extra police because they came. By the time I got downstairs, they were in the backyard, they were up on the deck, and they were at the front door. How do you get this? You have to pay for them. That's the only way you can get them. And I congratulate you on the budget. What you did with the parks, $500,000 grant. Amazing. The crosswalks with lights, amazing. So I just came up here to say thank you for what you've done for this town. And I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
The public hearing is still open if there's anyone left to speak.
William Chapman, 1465 Clifton Park Road. I would just like to say that the town board has had a 0% tax increase last year, 0.5 percentage point this year. Part of that is using fund balance resources that the town has had. It is restoring that money to the taxpayers. Having sat in on some of the budget work sessions, I know that this board and the town controller have worked hard to get fund balances back to a level that would be approved by the state controller's office. Not too much, not too little. There are things that can happen when you're on a board, that you have emergencies. They can be weather. They can be a lot of things. And it's good to have that money set aside. I also believe that this board has taken care to look at healthcare, to look at training, and other aspects of treating their employees fairly. I think that having employees be in the correct pension plan is just another step of, we respect our employees. We want to bring our police department, really all of our staffs, up to speed in terms of staffing, and we want to treat them well. We treat them well, they're going to do their jobs well and treat the citizens well. Also, in terms of affordability, I think that if this town board is working on improving our parks, they're there for anybody in the public to use. You don't have to pay $2 to go to a town park. You can take your family there. You can use the tennis courts. You can use the programs that are there. They're there for everybody. I also think having a set of programs that are run by the town that are relatively inexpensive, so your kids can do soccer. They can do a whole range of programs that are sponsored by the town, and you don't have to spend a fortune to do it. Also, we have the community center. You reach out to older adults by having lower tax rates and by having programs that seniors can benefit from, a good thing the town is doing. I also think that in my years on the town board, that speeding was always something that residents are concerned about. You're taking some steps to address that in this budget. And also, I think that it's important that some communities, you call the police department and it might be an hour before they show up at your door. Here, you call the police department, they're there in a minute or two. That's important to families that have children, important to older adults, really important to everyone. So I think the steps that you've done to fairness on the pension system, staffing, having a full staff and doing those things that voters in the town do appreciate, having effective police resources. So thank you very much.
Public hearing is still open if there's anyone else who would like to speak. Sure. It's a party.
Joseph Drescher, again, over on Pierce Road. Just want to add, after listening to some of the other comments, we live in a great town with a lot of great things about it. I understand that some people may be hurting with taxes. I have grandparents who live up the street from me and they're on a fixed income. I get it. But our town, compared to all the other towns I've lived in, has so much beauty and benefit to it, and it's because we all invest in it. So to take an approach of, well, don't spend the money and give it back to me, we can't have these nice things that we have with that kind of approach. Like, we all invest in this community and we all get to experience it. So spending some money to get these things is well worth it because we all we all reap the benefit of it. It's not like it's going to just a certain portion of the community. We're all getting to see it. So that I don't know why that just stuck with me a little bit. Like this, Niskayuna is a family. I've lived in different states, different towns, and this is the one that makes me come back because people care and we care about each other and we invest in each other. And even if we have to give a little bit, we know it's going to help out other people. And that's why I moved away. I moved to the city. I went to school there and I came right back here because there was nothing like it. So maybe I'm a little, hot under the gears today because I was in court all day. I'm an attorney, but that just stuck with me. So I appreciate what the board does to make sure that all of us can benefit. So thank you.
Leslie Gold, still on Pawtucket. I've been going to board meetings for a ridiculous number of years. And I've been listening to supervisors, predecessors tell me the same thing, that indeed the job takes more time than they had realized. We've had two who were attorneys who both cut back their hours as attorneys because they couldn't do it all. And that would be Supervisor DiCataldo and Joe Landry, who finally told me straight out that he was getting very, very selective in the legal work he was taking on because he couldn't dedicate that much time to it anymore. Supervisor Syed had planned to keep her job and found she couldn't do both. And I seem to remember you, Supervisor Puccioni, telling us that you had to cut back your hours at SUNY Albany, so you're not getting full salary now. And my concern is that we need people to run for the office, and if the salary is so low that nobody can afford to do it, we've got a big problem. Other communities pay similar positions way more. Look at Colony, Glenville, Clifton Park. I haven't looked this year, but I looked a couple years ago. It's time to start raising the salary. So if we're not doing it this year, it really needs to be started next year. And that had been the original plan. And as I said, this is my bailiwick.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Samanak. I live at 866 Oregon Ave. And rather than traffic in, innuendo or comments about people's clothing, I'm going to stick to just the facts about budget and about carrying a fund balance as a municipality. Typically, it is recommended that municipalities of our size carry a fund balance of approximately 2 months of operating expenses, which even after the use of the fund balance, Niskayuna will still be within that range. When looking at a fund balance and the usage of a fund balance, typically there are 6 different types of risk factors that a municipality needs to take into account. Those include vulnerable to extreme events, revenue source stability, expenditure volatility, one's leverage, the budget practices, and liquidity. So with Niskayuna, vulnerability to extreme events, luckily we don't live in an earthquake or, tornado-prone area in general. Our revenue source stability is a stable revenue source. You are able to budget within a very accurate range what you're going to be expecting from property taxes, since that's where the revenue is coming from. We also do not have expenditure volatility. That's not applicable to the town of Niskayuna. Using the fund balance ensures that our town's leverage, and that means the amount that we owe, stays low, which will also only increase the credit standing of our municipality. Also looking at budget practices, ensuring long-range planning and having the economic foresight to look into the future and to predict expenses or to at least budget for those expenses will lower the risk factors. and liquidity, which is mitigated by having planning. Liquidity meaning the actual cash on hand that you have. So not needing a significant amount of liquidity is lowered by having planning and by knowing what the budget entails and by what your expenses are, all of which is met and satisfied in this budget. So regardless of personal feelings toward members or toward particular political parties, those are the facts. The budget is sound. The use of the fund balance maintains a tax rate that is not being raised, and it also has significantly lower risk factors than other municipalities. So thank you so much for an equitable and sound budget.
The public hearing is still open. Is there anybody else here who'd like to speak? All right, seeing no one left to speak at the public hearing, I am now closing this public hearing and we will move on to privilege of the floor. If there are any residents here who'd like to speak during privilege of the floor, you may do so now.
Leslie Gold, 1919 Pawtucket Avenue. Just wanted a quick shout out to our highway crew who have been picking up the yard waste. With the roaming schedule, I've just been adding and adding to it. So today I had 1 yard waste bag and 7 containers, and they took care of all of it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak during privilege of the floor? Okay. Then we will move on to committee reports.
The Police and Public Safety Committee met on October 5th at 3:30. Under operations, we are continuing our towing bid for 2024. Our traffic division is formed. Sergeant Relation has been assigned, and he will also oversee our bus patrol program. We are beginning overnight parking enforcement. It's 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., November 1st through April 1st. The department will try to do windshield reminders for people, but it is a regulation that needs to be followed and is enforceable. Under fleet and equipment, we have NPD 606 currently being upfitted. For building, we have the fencing and wall around the police department ongoing, and the sidewalk repair is also underway. It looks really nice out there. The department's also looking to purchase a shelter for officers for the range. This would be cover for inclement weather, and it would look like a pavilion-like structure. For training, we are continuing to complete a training unit on communications through Police One. Also, Chief Koshin is going to be attending the FBI National Academy Associates Leadership Program in Saratoga County on various dates, October through December. Recruit Matt O'Brien continues training at Zone 5. Officer Cody Hansen completed his in-service FTO training. Officer Mike Tamasone is currently completing his in-service FTO. And Officer Derek Breslin will be instructing emergency vehicle operation course at the Zone 5 Academy. For town events, we have a lot of them. Coffee with the Cop continues at the Senior Center and also at the Farmers Market. Also, the Stewarts on Balltown Road on National Coffee Day gave people free gift cards for coffee for chatting with police officers. So it was a fun little event at Stewart's. Mohawk Hudson River Marathon was October 8th. Department supported that event. Drug Take-Back Day is occurring on October 28th from 10 to 2. The only thing is that we're not taking needles or syringes, and we're excited that the base club over at the high school, the student club there, will be assisting us. Niskayuna Fun Run was October 14th and was supported by our department. On the 14th, we also had a first responder event at Lowe's. It was a big success for community engagement, so thank you to Lowe's. Niskayuna High School is having their craft fair October 28th from 10 to 3, and we'll be supporting that event. And also coming up is our Halloween parade and the Niskayuna Police Department Haunted House, October 29th from 3 to 4. There'll be a decorated police car for kids to look at and a little tour of the police department. It was pretty spooky last year, so I encourage everyone to come. We also will have Fire Department 2 there. Oh, not 2. Well, I think they're going to be there. Yeah, I think they're going to be there. And they're also having an open house at the fire department, and they're going to be promoting the Vulnerable Persons Registry on the 30th. And then Fire Department 1 is having a Halloween open house on the 28th. In other news, we are accepting grant monies for the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee Child Passenger Safety Program and also the Police Traffic Services and the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership. It's a 50% match. And our next meeting is November 2nd at 3:30 for anyone who'd like to join us.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Moving on to community programs.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. The Community Programs Committee met on October 5th. Although our summer programs have unfortunately come to an end for the season, things have still been pretty busy in the Community Programs Department. Our annual Fall Fun Run was held a couple weekends ago. Congratulations to Jacob Fosco and Lily Haro, who are this year's winners, Lily for the second year in a row. And a huge thank you goes out to Lori Peretti for all of her hard work in planning the event, as well as Chief Koshan and the Police Department for providing traffic safety to the participants. As Councilmember Brennan said, this coming Sunday, the 29th, marks our annual Halloween parade here at Town Hall. The parade will kick off at 3 p.m., and we invite everyone to come parade around Town Hall, have their picture taken, and then check out the police department's haunted house. Also new this year, in partnership with Niskayuna High School's Animal Welfare Club and Homeward Bound Dog Rescue, we will be collecting toys, collars, and leashes. Registration for our West Mountain Ski Club has opened. Skiers can register on the mountain's website, which is westmountain.com, and select the Niskayuna After School program. Skiing will be on Friday nights, January 5th through February 9th, and transportation will be provided. Also at our meeting, we discussed the ongoing AED project. Thanks to the generosity of several residents and organizations townwide, we are finally able to fund the purchase of AEDs for our town parks. Laurie and I are just wrapping up some last-minute information gathering, and we look forward to putting forth a resolution next month to authorize this purchase. Programs at the Senior Center are running as per usual. November's book club reading will be The Wind is in My Hair. Also in November, CDPHP will be visiting the center to discuss Medicare open enrollment and answer any questions that our seniors may have. We continue exercise classes, lunch program, entertainment, coffee with a cop, and art workshops. And information on all of that can be found on the Senior Center section of our new town website. Our next practice trip will be this coming Thursday to see Mrs. Doubtfire. And next week, the Senior Center will be celebrating Halloween with a celebration on the 31st. Lieutenant Persons from Niskayuna Fire District 1 is also going to be visiting the Senior Center in the near future to discuss fire prevention and fire safety with our seniors. Of course, Linda, Edie, and Robin always love seeing new faces, so we encourage residents to stop down and check out all the great things the Senior Center has to offer. Lastly, our biannual blood drive was held last week. We once again exceeded our goal, so thank you to everybody who came to donate, and we look forward to hosting again in the spring. The Community Programs Committee meets on the first Thursday of every month at 4:30, which will be a week from this Thursday, November 2nd, and the meeting is, of course, open to the public. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, Councilmember Moskowitz. Moving on to Public Works.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. We start with Highway and Public Facilities and Transportation in our meeting. Our discussion there, we discussed our park crews and the excellent job that they did with the job here at Town Hall in the area behind us. That project has been completed, and now parks and some of the highway people are working on sidewalks here at Town Hall. So you're seeing improvements that we're doing all with our own staffing and our own employees, and excellent job that they're doing. At our meeting, we discussed the yard waste and the fall loose brush and leaf pickup, which has been posted in the newspapers and is on our website. Please check out the website to see when your zone is on the schedule for pickup. Town Board, we discussed a resolution about hiring a grounds maintenance worker. We're still looking for one person in the Highway Department. Paving, our paving season is over. That has been completed. I want to thank all the highway workers and all the water department workers for their work on this. Great job this year. Got finished up, hydro seeding the edge of the roads. The last area was Avon Crest Park. Got some new paving done. Northumberland, Westmoreland, Imperial, Trottingham. Great job getting that done this year. The disc golf area has been mowed, and we've expanded our low mow area. This is our low mow initiative for over by the old landfill, where we're mowing the grass only once a year, keeping it high so that the woodland birds and other creatures can be in those areas. And that seems to be so far a very successful program. At our meeting, we discussed the purchase of the mowers. We've got 2 new mowers for the Parks and Highway Department for detention areas and 1 for mowing the landfill cap. We discussed at the Finance Committee the purchase of playground equipment for River Road Park. And then during our open discussion, we talked about our Seneca Road area and the drainage there. I know that Ray Smith and Matt Yeto had a meeting with the residents there, and we're looking into a drainage study. The supervisor has spoken about this before for that area. Next portion of our meeting is the Public Works, which is our water and sewer and engineering department here in the town. We've got still 2 openings there. We're still looking for some individuals to fill some employment opportunities there. We have a resolution to for someone that's completed their probationary period in the water and sewer maintenance department. So we're happy that that's been completed. We're looking at some sewer lining projects on Oregon and Union Street were discussed. Utility billing, we discussed the utility bills that would be mailed out October 6th, due November 6th. Our wastewater treatment plant, our organic waste program still continues to go well and working on still ramping that up. We've made some significant improvements to our sludge dryer down there that seems to be working very well now. Also, we discussed the New York State Department of Health COVID-19 wastewater surveillance program. So the state has asked us to participate in a program where we monitor our wastewater for COVID-19. So it looks like we'll probably be getting involved in that program with the state of New York. Our water treatment plant, right now, we just got our transformer installed and is online down there. So our new power transformer working with National Grid is now online down there. And we're still continuing to do some major electrical work down there at our water plant. And so far, it's going very well. The last thing we discussed was our recycling center and the hours there. And we had a very successful fall shredding event and electronics recycling event here on Saturday at Town Hall. The event didn't start until 9 o'clock, but people were lined up at 8 o'clock, and they were lined up on Knott Street. And hopefully, thank goodness, there weren't any accidents, and we didn't get in too much trouble with the police department because the traffic was sort of backed up on Knott Street. It was a very steady flow of electronics this year. We collected 12,000 pounds, 6 tons of electronics. So that's TVs, computers, monitors, printers. It was a lot of material. I really want to thank everyone that participated in that. Michelle Martinelli, our town clerk, was there all day checking people in, making sure they were town residents. It was not an easy job. Gene Fody was there with us, helping with directing traffic and then carrying televisions and electronics and printers. It was, everybody pitched in. Tom Canizzo from the building department, Matt Yeto, our engineer, his son Brian was there all day. It was a lot of work, but this is something that, our town residents really, they come out, they participate, they want to do what's right for the environment and what's right for their town. We give them an opportunity to recycle something in a proper way, and they come out and do it. So again, thank you to everyone that participated. Also, I have to mention Steve. He's the gentleman that comes with the shredding truck from Pro Shred, and he did a phenomenal job because really we didn't have anybody to help him this year. Usually I help him more, but I was busy over with the electronics recycling. So there you go, more information, but it was a very good event. Anyway, our next meeting is November 2nd here, 8 a.m. at Town Hall.
Thank you, Councilmember McPartlin. Moving on to economic development, environmental conservation, historic preservation. I think I went out of order there.
Yes, it is. I'm going to just call it the Economic Development Committee tonight. And we do meet on the first Friday of every month. We met we're going to be meeting, I believe, this Friday, the first Friday of October. And last meeting, I noted that how great it was for Niskayuna to get Niskay's own GE Advanced Research Center getting $22 million in federal funds, and how that was a great example of how working together really builds communities. And that was a result of the town working with the county, who was working with our assemblymen and our congressmen all the way up to the federal government. And that was really great teamwork from the federal government all the way down to the town of Niskayuna. Tonight, we have two resolutions that are going to keep a great team working together here in the town of Niskayuna in our planning department. That is most important in economic development for any town or city. And tonight we are going to be having Clark Henry with the town of Niskayuna for the past 4 years. He is going to be made a permanent in our planning department as a planner. And he has really done a great job with communication between all of the boards and the committees. He takes a lot of pride in his work and really has done a great job with a lot of difficult projects. We also have Trish Bergami, who is very important in our planning department. She has been working right along with Laura Robertson, of course, our town planner, who has done a great job. And this is going to allow us to keep a team in place that has really done a lot of great things in the past 8 to 10 years here in the town of Niskayuna, from building our employment base to our waterfront to keeping our parks going, as well as our road work. All that being said, we also have, we were noted by another constituent here, a resident, of how important our comprehensive plan is. It really cannot be overstated, and the first public outreach of that is going to be November 14th in the town hall. Please be present for that, because it is important that we hear all of your input. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember De La Rada. I really appreciate it. Thank you all. Well, we're an hour in. It's a marathon tonight. So I'd just like to, share a few thoughts. Again, it's always a pleasure to be here. I want to take an opportunity to talk about a few of the resolutions we have on our agenda and just share a few updates. First of all, with regard to the budget, yes, I'm focused on fiscal integrity, which means putting forward a budget that's responsive to our community members' needs and also utilizes our tax dollars wisely. Earlier this evening, we heard from residents about the preliminary budget, and it builds on the work we accomplished last year. We are continuing to put all of our capital purchases for equipment and vehicles within the budget instead of using short-term borrowing during this period of high interest rates. We are continuing to pay down short-term and long-term debt. We are continuing to pay down our short-term debt instead of rolling it into long-term debt, which would not be a fiscally responsible decision. You'll notice there's a shift in the residential taxes from the tentative budget to the preliminary budget. It is primarily due to the court clerk salaries that were requested by the court judges. And it also is funding consulting services for our comprehensive plan, which was requested by our comprehensive plan committee members and our town planner. Again, we're investing in our workforce and investing in our community. Rather than using additional fund balance, I have opted to slightly increase the residential tax levy. So this is resulting in a 0.52% residential tax increase from 2023. It's an actual increase of 2 cents per $1,000 home value. So for me, it's less than a latte at Starbucks. It is similar to neighboring municipalities. The budget reflects increased fees for healthcare, retirement costs, as well as higher costs for chemicals, equipment, fuel, and electricity. It also addresses all of our union commitments. I had a lot of conversations over the year with our residents and department heads regarding traffic. We are funding 2 new police officer positions and promoting a sergeant to reinstate a traffic division. This is in response to our community members' needs. Also in conversation with residents, department heads, and members of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, I included in the budget a new assistant community programs director and 1 additional grounds worker position in the Highway, Transportation, and Parks Department. This is to support recreational sports programming and field maintenance. This is something our residents want and need. The new Assistant Community Programs Director will also help coordinate the youth sports programming administered by the town, as well as nonprofit organizations that primarily serve our residents, our youth. But that new position will also work to expand opportunities for children who have neurodiverse needs and physical differences. This is out of the work of our DEI committee. Again, the goal is to address our community's needs, all of the community. So I'm honored to put forward this budget. I think it invests in our community. It invests in safety, public safety, as well as community programming. 2 reasons people want to live in our town. I'm also focused on economic development, which means supporting our local businesses and attracting new businesses to town. Many of us have seen the news that ShopRite markets will be closing in the capital region, all across the capital region, including our town. No one received advance notice of the closures. I knew something was afoot when a reporter called me for comment about a different chain, Price Chopper. I said, no, I've never heard such a rumor. So the first thing I did was call Ray Gillen at Metroplex. Ray, what are you hearing about this? I got the call too. What's going on? So we figured out what's going on, and what did we do? We got to the business of looking at solutions the same day, Friday. ShopRite Niskayuna location is the top performer for that corporation in this region. Mr. Gillen has already received interest in this store location. Now, fortunately for us, their lease is through 2031, which means they are obligated to pay the rent and property taxes to the community. But I feel very confident we will have a new tenant. I feel very confident in having conversations with our community members to try to find the best fit. Overall, the plaza is doing well. It's doing better. We have new businesses there like Volcano Hot Pot and Barbecue. We have Chase Bank now. We have a Chase Bank ATM. We have invested in that Knott Street corridor, and I will continue to invest in the Knott Street corridor, working with Metroplex to add lighting to Knott Street and additional seating to make place, to make it feel like our main street. Add historic banners and banners that acknowledge our veterans, because Knott Street is our main street, not Upper Union. It's Knott Street. So I'm fighting to make it such, and we will do it. I feel very confident, and I'm actually quite excited for the challenge and the opportunity ahead. Bill Chapman mentioned my meeting with New York State DOT, Route 7, along with members of our staff, our town planner, Laura Robertson, Chief Koshan, Detective Ian Munger, who's one of our analysts on traffic issues, and Jim Levy from the Complete Streets Committee. Not that Bill Bill's still number one on complete streets. Okay, don't let anybody fool you. We had a great meeting. We talked about traffic calming measures. We talked about funding mechanisms. And during that meeting, I straight up texted our assembly member to say, hey, we're going to need some funding to make some significant changes to Route 7 to improve safety and to make that corridor a welcoming environment. When people go through Route 7 and enter Niskayuna, they're going to see it. So that's the goal. We've got big plans, and I don't know if you've seen me in action, but when I say I'm going to get something done, I get it done. So now I would like to give a shout out to some of our folks who have been doing amazing work. Bill took care of some of it, but I need to, fully acknowledge the patio reconstruction here. That was about $70,000 under budget because our folks did it in-house and because they are talented and they work really hard. Thank you to the highway and transportation guys. The sidewalks that are being improved around Town Hall, again, ADA compliant. Our folks in the DEI Advisory Committee are always reminding me and us the importance of ADA compliance, and we invest in it and we get it done, and we get it done in-house, which saves us money. We're making great progress on the new parking at River Road. The play structure is in, the pavilion is almost fully built, and the parking is almost done. So 1 year after we got the grant, the work is almost done. And just to make it clear, we get reimbursed. As soon as the projects are done, I ask for the reimbursement and we get it. So let's not believe any misinformation that is spread during this meeting. I will wrap up with an important resolution. We are consolidating the drainage districts and storm sewers because it'll help us take a more comprehensive look at water management issues moving forward and allow us to better address the impacts of increased precipitation locally. These shifts in weather patterns are not new. Climate change, people. We're seeing it in the nation, in the state, and locally. We're going to consolidate these drainage districts to help us fund a drainage study, which will then allow us to apply for additional grant funding to pay for infrastructure improvements. It's all part of a larger strategy, and it takes planning and thoughtfulness and teamwork. Thank you to Laura Robertson, Matt Yetto, and Ray Smith. All of your work, you come together and you help get things done, and I really appreciate it. That's all I have for tonight. As you can see, we get a lot done here in town government. It's hard work, and we do it, and we get it done. Thank you to my board members. Always, your committee reports are greatly appreciated. And thank you to our department heads for always getting the work done, and to our town employees. If it wasn't for them, the work would not actually get done, so thank you. And with that, we'll move on to resolutions. Starting with resolution number 2023-258, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a Dodge Durango for use in the Niskayuna Police Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
That resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-259, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting grants from New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-260, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting a grant through the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Proof Best Partnership.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Well done on applying for the grant. It's always important to make sure our police officers are properly outfitted and have the necessary resources to do their job and do it safely. And so I'm really thankful for that and more than happy to make sure the town matches those grant funds. All right, seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-261, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution permanently appointing a water and sewer maintenance worker.
Thank
Two.
you. Yes, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, ma'am. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-262, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing certain budgetary modifications.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-263, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution permanently appointing a planner one.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Thank you again to Clark Henry. Great job.
Yep. Thank you, Clark Henry. You know, he helps coordinate a lot of our projects, helps keep us on track. You know, he works very closely with our town planner, Laura Robertson, Highway Superintendent Ray Smith, Superintendent of Water Sewer, Matt Yeto, and myself to make sure our grant projects are moving forward and organized and just generally helps keep us on track. I really appreciate it. You know, he's a real pleasure to work with. Town developers in town, they really enjoy working with Clark. And so I'm glad to keep him on the team and have him here. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-264, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing an executive secretary one.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Again, Trish Bergami, great job. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. We would have no traction without these three folks, without Ms. Bergami, without Mr. Clark Henry, and of course, without our town planner, Laura Robertson. These are the people that really get things done in planning and economic development. So I thank you all again.
Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-265, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a part-time building inspector.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Michael Auerbach, welcome to the team. He is a retired architect and is going to do a great job in keeping us caught up with the inspections and code items that have to be done, especially in light of the COVID-19 pickup and home improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. And also our work with the land bank, Metroplex Land Bank, and dealing with zombie properties, having an additional building inspector can help us move forward on, vacant, abandoned properties and just continue to provide great service. All right, seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan,
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-266, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing a change order for the transformer pad construction project at the water treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-267, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni and Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution establishing a consolidated drainage and storm sewer district in the town of Niskayuna.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-268, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the second quarter corporate utility reconciliation.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-269, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing an MAO with employee unions regarding a switch to pay current.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2023-270, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing an easement agreement with the owners of 2451 Hilltop Road.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The resolution passes. That's all we have on tonight's agenda. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. We stand adjourned. Thank you.